Have you ever noticed that the moment you step into a forest, you automatically start speaking a little softer? Nobody tells you to. There aren't any signs asking you to be quiet. And yet, almost everyone does it. I didn't really think about it the first few times I visited a forest. I was too busy looking around, taking photos, and trying to reach the next viewpoint. But after spending more time in nature, I started noticing something that completely changed the way I looked at forests. It's not just the trees that make a forest special. It's the way a forest quietly changes you. The funny thing is, when most people think about visiting a forest, they imagine huge trees, waterfalls, wildlife, or maybe a beautiful trekking trail. And yes, all of those things are part of the experience. But those aren't the things I remember the most. What stays with me are the little moments that nobody really talks about. Like that first deep breath you take when you leave the road behind and walk beneath the trees. The air somehow feels cooler, cleaner, lighter. You don't even realize you've been breathing shallow breaths all day until your lungs finally get a chance to slow down. And then something else begins to happen. Your senses wake up. In a city, your brain learns to ignore thousands of sounds every single day. Traffic, horns, construction, conversations. It all blends into background noise. But inside a forest, every sound feels intentional. You hear birds calling to each other from somewhere high above. Leaves dancing with the wind. The distant sound of flowing water that you can't even see yet. Even your own footsteps become part of the experience. Instead of overwhelming you, these sounds somehow calm your mind. And I think that's because, for the first time in a long time, you're not listening to noise. You're listening to nature doing what it's always done. One thing that surprised me the most was how quickly I stopped thinking about everything else. Usually, whenever I travel somewhere, my mind is already planning the next thing. Where should I eat? What's the next place to visit? Did I get a good photo? Should I post this now or later? But forests have a strange way of slowing those thoughts down. Not instantly, gradually, without you even realizing it. After walking for a while, I found myself putting my phone back into my pocket. Not because I had to, but because I genuinely didn't feel like using it anymore. Instead, I started noticing things that would have never appeared on my screen. Tiny mushrooms growing beside an old tree. A butterfly resting on a leaf for just a few seconds before flying away. Sunlight finding tiny gaps between the branches and painting moving patterns across the ground. None of these moments lasted very long, but somehow, they became the moments I remembered the most. And that's what I love about forests. They don't demand your attention. They earn it. There's no giant attraction waiting every few hundred meters. No flashing lights. No loud music. No one trying to entertain you. Nature simply exists exactly as it is. And somehow, that's enough. I think that's why walking through a forest feels so different from walking anywhere else. It reminds us of something we've slowly forgotten. Not every beautiful experience has to be exciting. Some experiences are beautiful because they're peaceful. Some moments become unforgettable not because something extraordinary happened, but because, for a little while, your mind became completely present. We spend so much of our lives chasing bigger experiences, bigger cities, bigger adventures, bigger achievements. But forests quietly teach a different lesson. Sometimes, the smallest moments carry the biggest impact. A cool breeze on a warm afternoon. The smell of rain touching the earth. The sound of leaves moving above your head. The feeling of walking without looking at the time. None of those moments cost anything. Yet they somehow make us feel richer. Of course, forests aren't always comfortable. The trail can be muddy. There are insects. Sometimes you'll be sweating halfway through the hike, wondering why you thought this was a good idea. But here's the interesting part. I've never once walked out of a forest wishing I hadn't gone. I've only ever wished I could stay a little longer. And I think that says everything. Because after every forest walk, I don't come back feeling entertained. I come back feeling lighter, clearer, almost like my mind has quietly reset itself. Maybe that's why forests feel so different from everywhere else. Not because they show us something we've never seen before, but because they remind us of something we've forgotten. How to slow down, how to observe, how to simply exist without constantly searching for the next thing. And maybe that's the real magic of a forest. It doesn't change the world around you. It changes the way you experience it. And once you've felt that, Every walk through a forest stops feeling like a journey through nature and starts feeling like a journey back to yourself.